At T-Mobile, our critical mission is providing unparalleled 5G coverage for when connectivity is mission critical. Introducing T-Priority, America's best 5G network experience for first responders, even in times of congestion. More capacity, faster speeds, better coverage. T-Priority from T-Mobile, built for tomorrow's emergencies, ready today. Discover more at t-priority.com.
For qualifying organizations on eligible rate plans, coverage not available in some areas and may be impacted by emergencies.
Hi, and welcome to the 10-Minute Food Truck Training Podcast. My name is Bill Moore. I am a food truck business trainer, author of Food Truck 101, Beginner to Winner, and the forthcoming book, Food Truck 201. This podcast is all about helping you start and grow your food truck business. Today, I want to talk to you guys about pricing yourself completely out of business. Menu pricing is a hotly debated topic, both experienced and inexperienced people, believe it or not, often with very little logic or math behind the menu price choices. Today, I'm going to talk to you guys beyond 4 times cost, because that's what I recommend you start your menu pricing at. So this is advanced stuff, so buckle in. I teach to add all the ingredients, all the food, all the seasonings, all the oils, the wrappers, the boxes, the carryout bags, and napkins, and everything else down to the penny, exactly how you hand it to your guest. And then from there, you multiply that by at least 4. This gives you the starting point for determining your price. It's not a price that's written in stone, but it's the starting point. You can go higher or you can go lower, and that depends on a whole bunch of different factors. So let's look at a real number I was given the other day. A basic hamburger that's locally sourced on a locally sourced baked bun costs a grand total of 91 cents. Then when you add in the normal condiments of mayonnaise, ketchup, pickles, onions, tomatoes, lettuce, and mustard, all of that stuff adds up, if you buy it from Sam's Club, to bring the grand total to $1.20. So you multiply that by 4, and that gives you $4.80. Since most food trucks price on the even dollar, we'll just go ahead and round that to $5 even. And when you divide that $1.20 by the menu price of $5, that yields a 24% food cost. Pretty awesome. The person that posed the question wanted to charge $4 for the burger. Now that's low, but that does yield a 30% food cost, which is not horrible by any stretch. But here's what a lot of people in the group started to point out. They said the $4 price point is just too low. But they never gave any context for why they said $4 is too low, and they didn't offer any mathematical proof. So let's just do that. We're going to show the problems that are created when an owner does not fully account for all the expenses of the food truck and owning a food truck. So what does the owner have to pay? Let's start with food and paper and cleaning supplies, office supplies, licenses, insurance, payroll, credit card processing, commissary fees, internet, a business phone, site rental, propane, gasoline, marketing, repair, and maintenance. Whole bunch of things have to go into every single price that you have on your menu board. So I'm only going to take 2 numbers, and I'm going to do what they teach us in college to compare and contrast. The things that everybody hated to have to write out, especially in English class. Compare this and contrast it to that. So the 2 numbers that I'm going to mess with are going to be the selling price and the yielding food cost price. So we have the one price of $4 with a 30% food cost, and we have a $5 selling price with a 24% food cost. So I have all of the normal expenses a food truck's going to incur, and we're going to make a few assumptions. We're going to assume it takes 3 people, one of which is the owner. They're going to do a 3-hour lunch service. They're going to do that 5 days a week. They're going to miss 10% of the possible days in a year from weather events. I have the owner paying themselves out of profit of the business. So basically no salary. The only 2 people that are getting paid are the other 2 hourly employees. So there's no salary, no draw. We're essentially figuring a break-even point. And we're only going to use the hamburger. We're not going to use any kind of sales mix trickery or anything like that. This person only sells a hamburger, and that's it. No side items, no drinks. So when a guest steps up, you know exactly how much they're going to spend. So let's start with the $5 burger price. The break-even point for that is $86,263, or basically 25 guests an hour. But remember, all the bills are paid at this point, as well as the staff, but the owner hasn't made a penny. At the $4 burger price, the break-even point becomes $96,109, or about 34 guests an hour. Still no owner pay, and 27 more people a day just to break even. So you have to market to get more people into the business. But remember, we've only broke even. So let's say the owner wants to make $30,000 a year, which is less than working at Mickey D's for $15 an hour. The sales required to generate that extra $30,000 over the break-even takes the grand total of the break-even point to $149,614, or 53 people each and every hour. And this is on that $4 burger price. At 53 people an hour, you're approaching the service capacity of the typical food truck. Service capacity means that's how many people your cashier can handle in an hour. Basically, I teach everybody your very first goal is to get your cashier to be fast enough to handle one person every minute. That's the first goal. So as a new food truck owner, you ain't hitting that. So when you need 53 people to pay yourself $30,000 a year, which again, you can go to McDonald's and make that much money, why would you price something at $4? Because once you hit that service capacity, you cannot serve any more people. Now, let's take that service capacity and stretch it out to the max. 60 people an hour. Let's say you get that cashier and they can really hit 60 people an hour, which is taking one order every single minute. The business tops out at $168,000, and the owner will make a whopping $47,000. But remember, that takes 60 guests each and every hour that you're open, or in this example, 180 people per day that you have to wait on and serve that $4 hamburger. So let's move that price up to $5 and see what it does to all these different numbers. When you move it up to $5, that increases your top line revenue, but it also decreases your food costs, because remember, it had a 24% food cost. The break-even point now moves down from $149,000 to $134,000, and it only takes 38 people an hour. So there's actually room to grow there. If this truck selling a $5 burger can achieve that 60 person per hour service capacity goal, the owner now makes $85,423 in salary and profit, all because they increased the price a single dollar. Now let's take that same product and put it into real life food truck pricing. This basic burger sells at a typical food truck for $7 to $9. And that's here in my area, and I've looked in a number of different areas around the country, and that seems to be about the price just for the burger all by itself. There are several trucks that do sell it for above $10, but let's just stay at the low end of $7. Not even looking at what the best trucks are doing. Let's just look at what the low end trucks are doing. The break-even point on $7 drops to $120,206 a year, the equivalent of 24 guests an hour, taking one order every 2 minutes, a nice, slow, leisurely pace. And if the owner gets creative with marketing and can do it well enough to bring in that 60 person an hour capacity, that takes the owner's total compensation to $161,373. That is the power of understanding your full P&L. That's the power of understanding your break-even point, and then how your pricing impacts your own pay and how it impacts your ability to pay all your expenses. Because remember, I only changed 2 numbers. Everything else stayed the same. I upped the selling price, which in turn lowers the food cost, and we got these different numbers. Now, if you're that brand new beginning food trucker and you want to sell that $4 burger, there's not a problem with that. If that is where your passion lies, that you're going to make your food affordable for the people that don't normally go out to a food truck because it's so expensive, more power to you. But what you got to consider is the amount of money you're going to make. Because one of the complaints that I get when people are selling their food truck, they want me to advertise it on my group, or they want me to help them sell it, or they may even want me to buy it. One of the biggest complaints I get is they work too hard for what little bit of money they made. So in perfection, that $4 per burger menu price, the owner can only make $47,000. Is that enough for all the trials and tribulations that a typical food truck owner goes through? And remember, to hit that $47,000, you have to bring in 60 people an hour. That means you're hustling all 3 hours that you're open, and you're right at your service capacity. That's a difficult ask. So bear in mind when you're doing your prices what it relates to in the effort you're going to have to put out and what the results of that potential effort could be. Thank you guys so much for listening to the 10-Minute Food Truck Training Podcast. If you're finding all the information helpful to your food truck business, please become a monthly supporter of the podcast. Just hit the support button or follow the link in the description. Every little bit does help keep us going. If you like being around like-minded positive people, join our Facebook group. It's called Food Truck Training. We have a whole bunch of awesome members at all different levels, from brand new beginners to decades-old veterans. And they've all got your back when it comes to helping you understand the food truck industry. And again, thank you guys so much for listening. Come back tomorrow because you know I got plenty more to say when it comes to helping you and your food truck business grow.